Good afternoon, everyone. Farmers are asking the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate fertilizer price spikes. They feel it's being manipulated. Two companies control 93% of the market, and these four control almost all. Speaking of CF Industries, who's going to get the scarce tons out there? CEO coming saying, whoa, super shortages to 2023. U.S. Department of Agriculture, net farm income up 23%. FAO, global food prices up 27%. See a connection there. Both farmers delaying purchases, scrambling for supplies. The lack of nitrogen fertilizer means a decline in crops, increase in prices. People are going to be on the streets next year for food. So how would you respond as a government? It's being reported that the top 5 tech corporations are lobbying hard against consumer privacy. These corporations include Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, Google. Amazon has also successfully lobbied against 36 privacy protection bills across 25 states. I do everything in my power to ensure my privacy online, which means I use a VPN. That also means you'll prevent advertisers and corporations from creating profiles on you. You can head over to virtualshield.com, and in the download tab, I'm going to choose Firefox. And click Install Now to add the Virtual Shield add-on. It's just that easy. And get started with your free 30-day trial. Install it, click Connect. You'll see the shield turn from red to green, and you'll see how from my initial service provider, I was able to even change my IP. Virtual Shield Network protected. I partner with Virtual Shield to give the Adapt 2030 audience a 50% off for life and a free 30-day trial of Virtual Shield during the holidays. Go to virtualshield.com/adapt 2030 or click the link in the description box below to start protecting yourself online now. And this is just a smidgen of the rundown. Fertilizer prices. Put it in your search engine, and when you finally hit one of the ag sites, put fertilizer prices in the search bar there. AgFacts, one of my favorites. So let's run down the headlines over the last 2 weeks about fertilizer. Global nitrogen demand will climb in 2022, but the production of it's going to decline, so we're going to get this splitting wedge. Plus, the fertilizer prices, still no reprieve. Of course, they're going to continue upward. Nebraska planning for rising fertilizer prices in bull markets. Nitrogen continues to lead prices higher. Now potash and urea is going to climb above all of those. Anhydrous leads price climbs, and this is going back in time a couple of weeks here into November. Spring scramble for supplies. We'll get into that in a second, but the prices continue to skyrocket. And now you see in Australia calling for full urea shortages. Transportation, agricultural affected, and it's now in our faces, so how do we deal with it? Farmers are asking the U.S. Justice Department to investigate fertilizer price spikes. So now we're in this downward spiral of things are going to get really expensive for inputs coming in. So the question should be asked, with so few companies controlling the entire fertilizer market, is it being manipulated? Or is it just people saying, wait, I'm paying too much. It's not normal that we're paying this much. Record high fertilizer prices, somebody has to be tampering with it, insider trading, whatever it might be. Should we investigate? Record highs or not? We got all this natural gas shortage problems. Ammonia prices are 13x. Yes, that's 1,300% up. Shortage is inbound. Everybody warning about it now, except you on the regular CNN, whatever news, are not going to hear about it. So share it with your friends and family if that's all they watch for their news feed. They're never going to tell you until it becomes such a problem that they have to address the elephant in the room with these never-ending food price rises and these shortages inbound here. So since the 1980s, there were 46 firms. Now there's 13. Now even consolidate that down into the major players. That's not a subsidiary of another firm. That doesn't count. So there's really, you can put them all on one hand, who controls the entire fertilizer production and distribution in the United States. And so this is the problem. One plant goes down for one company that was using it as a major producer for ammonia, and it's affecting the entire industry. This needs to be investigated. This needs to change. Absolutely, it has to. Now, I know many of you want to take advantage of this situation of these fertilizer price spikes, 22, 23 unavailabilities. Nutrien, CF Industries, Intrepid, Potash, Mosaic, as well as down in Chile, SQM. So keep your eyes on these prices, because just a subset of the information as I was searching through, really interesting from September of this year, it's tracking very closely the S&P with these fertilizer prices. Now what's going to happen? That'll disconnect next year when the shortages are in, and what you consider all-time high prices right now will be a bargain price comparatively. I say the same thing. If you're getting prepped out right now, you buy anything you can because you know it's going to be cheaper right now buying it than it will next year. Fun fact to share over the Christmas dinner table in a couple of weeks. U.S. Department of Agriculture expects net farm income to increase 23.2% 2021. Highest since 2013. And you wonder why things are going up so much and why are these farmers going to get so much extra money, which is well deserved, by the way. They were paid a pittance to keep you alive and keep food on your table. The only reason it was possible to work through these last, say, 3 or 4 decades was subsidies. When those dry up, well, now they're going to take over. The market forces are going to fill in the subsidies, and they're really going to start making a lot of money. And when you look at the FAO food price index, it's a global, up 27.3%. So it's ahead a little bit of what the farmers are intended to receive as net income, but that's based on the input cost and the farmers actually being able to charge more, and on the spot futures market, what they're able to deliver. So there's a lot of indicators showing way higher prices coming in. If you're not getting ready for this, oh my, you are going to be pinched. We got rising energy prices, utility bills expected anywhere 50%, doubling, 20%, whatever it is. Now the food going to be going up another 25, 50, 100%. So with the FAO price index doing what it's doing, we need to backtrack a little bit and take a look at the inputs. So here's where we sit for wheat right now. On the 5-year chart, Index Mundi, I've linked everything in the description box below. They have a bunch of drop downs. You can check out meat, grains, raw materials, different indices. Great site here, Index Mundi. Thank you for putting all the information together. It makes my life easier doing videos like this. Urea monthly price, that is going to continue so far northward. Now, I didn't put the 1 year in to see the percentage change, but if we're looking over a 5-year period, urea prices are up 3x, well, 3.3x. And that is going to continue to rise as this is now making headlines across all of Australia and really into the world media now that this particular ingredient used for fuels and fertilizers both, not there at all. We look at some different types of phosphate fertilizers here. This is coming out of the U.S. Gulf. I see that rising up as well. 5-year chart 1.3x. But I really like to look right around, say, the beginning of 2020, or even at the beginning of 2021. If we did that, it's still from, let's say, 350 to 710. And rock phosphate, this is unprocessed. It's not into the granular form yet. It's still trending upward from, 76 up to 150. That's a doubling. Triple super phosphate, let's hit it at the beginning of 2021, right around 321, and it sits at 650, doubling. So if this is the input into the whole system, and that's doubling in price, what do you think the farmers are going to do? Fuel's gone up, fertilizer's gone up, and then we have, this is what started the whole video that I'm presenting the information for tonight. CF Industries coming out. This is the thing that should send shivers down your back. The CEO of one of those largest fertilizer producers that I just showed you the list says, possible famine, yield declines. This is going to last well into 2023. And here it is. Who's going to get the scarce tons that are out there? There's going to be a lot of unmet demand that's going to be pent up, meaning shortage and scarcity. It's going to cost more. Whoever has the money is going to get it. Pure and simple. And they're going to charge you way more to get your food after this initial cost is soaked up by the farm, no pun intended, and then also the fuels as well. So what's really going to be bizarro world is the compound annual growth usage of fertilizers is going to be up about 5%, exactly 4.7%. Forecast here for 2021 and 22. But we're going into scarcity of this in. And how did CF Industries phrase it? Scarce tons and unmet demand, yet increasing demand. You know there's going to be a break point there. Whoever pays the biggest money gets it. And the wild card, the yield will decline without nitrogen fertilizer. And this goes right back into those statements of yield declines and possible famine because there's not enough fertilizer. I mean, you can point your finger in a million directions on this one, but it all seems to be pointing back to natural gas production, non-expansion, which means non-increase in fertilizers, and also the basic inputs of, like, say, ammonia, damage to the supply chain, gas getting from point A to point B. No nitrogen, massive declines in production. And then it comes again here. Spring scramble for supplies off AgFacts. I linked everything. I encourage you to do your own research on this. Agricultural Retailers Association, another CEO coming out publicly saying that we have the nitrogen to put on before winter, but when it comes spring planting, prices are going to be so high. He should have said way, way, way higher. At that point, farmers are delaying purchases right now, and they're going to risk scrambling for supplies at the busiest time of the year, which loops right back into CF Industries saying scarce tonnage. And this slide right here came out of the article from University of Nebraska talking about the compound annual growth rate. Well, they're looking at the bio-optimum here of nitrogen fertilizer into a field of corn. And if you start to oversaturate it or dump more of it on there, it's not going to increase the yield. It's actually going to decrease the yield. But that's at the max bio-optimum. Now bring that back a little bit because they're looking at 12 or so % global decline in nitrogen fertilizers and just fertilizers in general next year. That'll probably increase. But again, profit, somehow somebody's going to fill that niche. So we're going to go through a period of tightening of available supply, which is going to affect next year's yields greatly at the end of that. How much food? It is going to be a massive society-changing event what we're witnessing right here. You can't grow the food. The carryover stocks are only going to last so long, and more countries are going to forbid exports. When that starts to happen, you know, the cat's out of the bag. You can't hide it anymore. But going back down the response curve / yield curve, one and the same, because we're going to be pulling back on the fertilizers, and every farm's not going to be 12% down. Some farmers may be fully stocked where they're going to get their 100% allocation, but then that means that another farm will be 20 or 22% down, 30% down. And you can look at this yield curve and determine if farm X is 30% under their allocation because farm Y has 100% allocation, is knocked off two smaller players, then you can just follow the yield curve down, map out what the farms are, what the production is, what their allocation is, what's the possible of them getting 100% of what they need for fertilizers, crunch all the numbers, and we should get a very good indication of how much global crop yields will decline next year. But I don't have the supercomputer. And if you can do that, you're going to make yourself a super tanker full of money. So think about foods, storable foods. Anything you buy now is going to be cheaper than next year. I've teamed up with my Patriot supply to bring you the 3-month emergency food supply. Give yourself the peace of mind knowing you have storable foods, because 2022 is going to be the year that linear turns exponential, and you will be super happy that you have food stocked away. I do thank you for watching. Hope you got something out of the video, and I'll see you next time.